Just as federal lawmakers put finishing touches to the proposed 49.7 trillion naira budget presented to them by President Bola Tinubu last December 18, they received an update that the president has jacked up the figure to 54.2 trillion naira. The president's decision to scale it up is contained in two separate letters to both chambers of the National Assembly. President Tinubu says the increase arose from 1.4 trillion naira additional revenues made by the Federal Inland Revenue (FIRS), 1.2 trillion naira made by the Nigerian Customs Service, and 1.8 trillion naira generated by some other government-owned agencies. President of the Senate Godswill Akpabio then directed the request to the Senate Committee on Appropriation for expeditious consideration, while declaring that the budget will be passed before the end of February.
This additional revenue sourced from key agencies represents a pivotal opportunity to address Nigeria's critical challenges and advance its development agenda. So from government-owned enterprises, GOEs, we have about 1.8 trillion. From Federal Inland Revenue Services, FIRS, we have about 1.4 or 1.5 thereabout trillion. And federal government's 52% share of the increase in revenue from 22.1 trillion to 25.1 trillion.
In another communication to the Senate, the President requested the upper chamber to invoke Section 157, subsection 1 of the Constitution to enable him terminate the appointment of 3 resident electoral commissioners in Nigeria's electoral body, INEC. The affected officials are Nuru Ali from Sokoto State, Kudus Yunisa Ari, Adamawa State, and Ikemefuna Chijioke Uzochukwu from Abia State. All 3 are accused of corruption and gross dereliction of duties. In a swift reaction, the Senate acted on the President's request and found the 3 electoral officials guilty as charged.
For this reason, the termination of these officers who appear to have compromised themselves will serve as a very veritable deterrence to other officers in the public service.
A total of 91 senators voted in favor of the termination of the appointment of the electoral officials, more than the required 2/3 majority.
We are merely called upon to discharge or perform our constitutional responsibility of safeguarding these very important offices from executive influence and interference in the discharge of their duties. But where it is manifestly proven that there is need for their removal, it has to be supported by the National Assembly.
The Senate hopes that the move will serve as deterrent and uphold the ethics of good corporate responsibility in the public service.